Okay. Good morning.
Good morning.
Where is that coming from? Once again, how many of you did grow up playing a sport with the Cooper name on some part of your body? Just a little reality check there. The connection, the emotional connection between the Cooper name and people who grew up in North America playing sports continues to absolutely amaze me. I had a guy come up and say to me, I'm from Alaska. I grew up playing hockey with Cooper equipment, and I still play hockey with Cooper equipment, and we named our cat Cooper. And I said, sir, that cat named after me, by any chance, has that cat been neutered? Has that cat been neutered? Because that would be way too much of a coincidence. Anyway, so 20 years at Cooper Canada. 20 years at Cooper Canada as a manufacturer, and we developed 70% market share globally in hockey, and we never paid an athlete a nickel. Couldn't do that today, right? It's all about who can write the biggest check to an already obscenely overpaid athlete. But we made better stuff, and we served our customers better, and we said, if we could help you play better, reduce injuries, lengthen careers, and save lives, why would we also have to write you a check for $250,000? That's just goofy. And goofy is a technical term for stupid. So we 70% market share globally in hockey and never paid an athlete a nickel, and we had 30% market share in Major League Baseball and never paid an athlete a nickel. Now, as a Canadian company, which was more difficult to achieve? 70% market share in hockey globally or 30% market share in baseball? It was tougher for baseball because it is all an American mentality. So anywho, then after I fired myself from Cooper Canada and walked away, I accidentally became a retailer of ladies' fashions. And I had no experience with ladies' fashions. Buttons the odd time, but other than that. And I did $15 the first day in sales, $15. I was in a little warehouse space in Markham, northeast of Toronto, and I had 3 green garbage bags full of borrowed merchandise, and I did $15 the first day. A lady came in by accident, looking for directions. She was lost, and she looked down at my inventory of 3 green garbage bags full of borrowed merchandise, which since I had no racks, no sales fixtures, and no hangers, I artistically arranged my entire merchandise offering on the floor. And she pointed down to the floor and she said, that's a nice color, how much is that? And I remember my first days as a retailer, my first words as a retailer were looking down at the floor and saying, yeah, that is a nice color. But in terms of how much it is, I haven't thought it through that far yet. That was pretty brilliant. But 3 years later, I was doing $700 a square foot in 13,000 square feet of retail space and was voted Canada's Outstanding Innovative Retailer of the Year by Retail Council of Canada. So it isn't about how we start out, it's about how we progress. So now, for 22 years, I've been working all around the world in 40 different industries with business owners and their management teams, trying to help them improve clarity, commitment, and accountability. How to sell more, manage smarter, grow your bottom line, and have a life. Is that the checklist for all business owners, leaders, and managers around the world? How to sell more, manage smarter, grow your bottom line, and have a life. And the case of our focus here today is about how do we improve clarity, commitment, and accountability. And just a little rethink on leadership. People write books this thick on leadership, and my Grandma Cooper, bless her heart, she never ran a business or gave a speech. But Grandma Cooper nailed business leadership when she used to say to our dysfunctional family, which makes us no different from your family, Grandma used to say, we need to get everybody singing from the same hymn sheet. How many of you were lucky to have a grandma like that? Great wisdom and great cookies. When you were a kid, you had a grandma with great wisdom and great cookies. And when you were a kid, the cookies have more appeal. But as you get older, it's the wisdom. And Grandma was a sharp lady, and she didn't realize it at the time when she said this, that she was actually talking about business leadership. We need to get everybody singing from the same hymn sheet. Now, I get the idea from the time I've spent chatting with and learning from a whole bunch of people in various parts of your Davis operation that you guys are singing from the same hymn sheet a whole lot better than a lot of businesses are. Because here's what I've observed in all the businesses that I've worked with in 22 years around the world, there are typically 4 hymn sheet problems. Number one, in many businesses, there is no hymn sheet. There is no clarity. It's just let's make it up as we go along. There is no hymn sheet, but you should all sing from it. Or there is a hymn sheet, but it's a secret hymn sheet seen only by the top 2 people in the company, and they think it's nobody else's business to see the secret hymn sheet. But you should all sing from it. Or number 3, we hand out a different hymn sheet to everyone in the form of different instructions, different urgencies, different priorities. And you and I work for the same company, and we look over each other's shoulder at our completely different hymn sheets. And we ask the musical question, what the hell's going on here? And the good people leave in frustration, and the bad ones take I don't give a damn pills and keep showing up. You know, taking I don't give a damn pills is a coping strategy for people who don't have the courage to leave. The 4th hymn sheet problem that I see a lot is that our hymn sheet is written by consultants, and we call it a strategic plan. Anybody ever seen one of these things? Strategic frickin' plan. Nobody even knows what this means, and no one has ever read it past page 3 because you can't understand a word of it. It's written in consultantese. Now, consultantese is a special language whereby, even though you know the meaning of every word in every sentence, you know the meaning of no sentence, because consultants have a way of putting together words that you know into sentences that you cannot understand, yes or no. This would be the aerobic part of the program, or you can put up your hand the Canadian way, just like going like that. And the thing is, they may have paid a consulting firm $30,000 or $40,000 for this piece of crap, and nobody understands a word of it. And then they charge you another 40 grand to translate it into what is approximately English. Now, how many of you have ever in your life worked for a business that suffered from one of these 4 hymn sheet problems? No hymn sheet, so meaning no clarity. Secret hymn sheet. Different hymn sheet to everybody, or the hymn sheet was a strategic plan that nobody understood. And whatever. Anybody, just one of those 4. Did you love it? No. It drives us nuts. So, anyway, to make it even more simple, in every business, regardless of the size or the industry they're in, there's only 2 kinds of employees. There's the promise makers and the promise keepers. Everybody in every business is either a promise maker or a promise keeper. The promise makers, what are their job titles? What departments are they in typically? The people who make all the promises. Sales, marketing, and advertising, right? Or as we call them, the liars. But anyway, sales, marketing, and advertising. They're the promise makers, and everybody else in the organization is a promise keeper. And in so many businesses, the promise makers and the promise keepers are not singing from the same hymn sheet. It's us and them. It's us and them. And I see it especially in car dealerships. It's just one of the 40 industries that I work in. Between sales and service, us and them. Between sales and parts, us and them. There's no sense of family. And one of the things that I love about the Davis Auto Group is that there seems to be not so much us and them. It's we. And I love that. It's just the way to go, and most businesses don't get it. So is everyone singing from the same hymn sheet? We have a bonus handout for you. You should have it. It's called the Business Key Challenge Audit Sheet. Here's what I'd like you to do. I'd like you to take this. Do not write on it. Take the Business Key Challenge Audit Sheet. Take it back to your dealership. Make a photocopy for each person in management and supervision in the dealership. And it's all self-explanatory. It takes 4 minutes to do. Each person who's a manager or a supervisor, you just ask them to read down this. It takes 4 minutes, and put an X beside any of the 23 business challenges listed here that they believe is today a challenge in the business or could be in the foreseeable future. And it all explains at the top of the page, and they just put an X there, they put their name on it, and you fill it out as well, and then hand it back. And one person looks at all this and sees if everyone is singing from the same hymn sheet. Because what I can tell you is, in doing this for years, that people put X's in all different places. They see the business and the challenges in the business in all different ways. And so you want to understand if everyone is singing from the same hymn sheet in your business, just get everybody management and supervision to take 4 minutes, fill this out, and give it back to you, and see if everyone's singing from the same hymn sheet. So how do we get that to happen? How do we get everyone singing from that same hymn sheet? We create clarity. As managers in any business, our first job is clarity. Regardless of what anyone else tells you, your first job is clarity, because if we, as managers of the business, are not clear about these 5 things, who else in the organization could possibly be? So here are the 5 clarities that I've spent years figuring out. Number 1, our first job is to be clear about the customer value and experience that we commit to deliver. What do we commit to deliver? What's the extraordinary customer value and experience that will do these specific things, that will grab our target customers? What value and experience will grab our target customers, clearly differentiate us from our competitors, make us famous, not Hollywood famous, but make us famous for our target customers and grow our bottom line? That's extraordinary value and experiences. What do we commit to deliver in category number 1? Number 2, what do we commit to become? What's our part of the business? What's the total business going to look like in 3 to 5 years? What do we commit to become? Number 3, how are we going to get there? What are the activities? What are the projects? What are the initiatives? What are the specific things we need to do to get to that extraordinary future? Number 4, what's the extraordinary bottom line we commit to generate? And number 5, how do we commit to behave along the way? Our values, our ethics, and our standards. How do we commit to behave? Are we going to create an extraordinary business by doing the right thing extraordinarily well? Do the right thing. Pretty simple. In our ladies' clothing store, we had a simple customer promise. No games, no tricks, no lies. Because the ladies' clothing business was all about games and tricks and lies. It was about manipulating women into buying stuff that looked terrible on them, that they couldn't afford. It was all about lies. Marking up to mark down. Retail ladies' wear chains would buy a pair of pants in Montreal in the garment district for $13 and put them out for $54.95. How'd you like those margins? $54.95, paid $13 for the pants. And then in 2 days, they put them on sale. 2 days, they put them on sale for $34.95 with tears in their eyes. Well, they only paid $13 for the pant. It's a good $26 pant. Even the sale price is a chip. And it was all about games and tricks and lies, and we had a simple founding principle: no games, no tricks, no lies. And women drove up to 5 hours to shop in our store, to buy more of something from us that they had a 10-year supply of in the cupboard at home. Every woman has a 10-year supply of clothing in the cupboard at home, as long as she remains approximately the same size. And so why were they driving up to 5 hours to shop with us? No games, no tricks, no lies. And so anyway, how do we commit to behave? So anyway, what do we commit to deliver? What do we commit to become? How are we going to get there? The extraordinary bottom line we commit to generate, and how do we commit to behave along the way? And you'll notice that I do not use the words that every business uses. Every business talks about goals, targets, aims, and objectives. Every business in the world. Goals, targets, aims, and objectives. We aim to do this. We aim to do that. Nobody cares what you aim to do. They want to know what you actually do. Websites, thousands of businesses on the internet. We aim to do this. We aim to do that. And I'm working with a client right now to create a new vision statement, and it says right on their website, "We strive to be ethical." Like, ethical's like pregnant. Yes or you ain't. We strive to be ethical. Doesn't that raise the question, do you ever make it? Do you ever actually get there? There's a huge difference between a goal and a commitment. My goal was to stay with my first wife. My commitment is to stay with my third wife. It just feels different. It is different, and it has been different for 25 years that we've been together. Now, a little background. I stuttered as a teenager, and I grew up pathologically shy. So I didn't ask a girl out till I was 23 years old. Sucked up my courage and finally asked a girl out at the age of 23. And when someone went out with me twice, I thought, close the sale. Did that a couple of times. I've dated only 6 women in my whole life, and I married 3 of them. I confuse dating with marriage. Do not do this. Anyway, Wanda and I have been together for 25 years. I always call her Wanda. I called her Susan once. It didn't go over so well. Anyway, so no more talk, please. No more talk about goals, targets, aims, and objectives. Let's change our language and change our culture. People say you're just playing with words. No, when we change our language, we change our culture. And if we talk about commitments, it's a whole different business culture than talking about goals, targets, aims, and objectives. And we need to get more specific. I have a couple of questions that I often ask audiences. The people who choose to do business with us choose us because we're the best. That is the #1 answer all over the world in 40 different industries. We're the best. But it's too vague. It's too general. Best price, best amount of inventory, best selection, best service, most convenient location. It's way too general, and it doesn't grab people, and it doesn't differentiate you from your competitor because everybody says they're the best. So what we need to do is to get much more specific about our value, and here's a wonderful example. This is a parking garage. This is a reinvention of the parking garage. In fact, it is a parking tower. And it's in Germany, and it's not just a fine-tuning of what a parking garage has always been. It's not a slight modification of what a parking garage has always been. It is a complete reinvention of what a parking garage could be. You drive in here, you park your car on the pallet, you get out, the guy presses some computer keys, and your car is inserted into a space that you hope to heck is not occupied by a previously parked vehicle, which is called a computer glitch. But look at this. Here's the specific, clear, and compelling value. If this parking garage takes up 80% less space, costs less to build, and retrieves cars faster. Ba-boom, ba-boom, ba-boom. Is that clear and specific? Does that grab you? Does that clearly differentiate them? Could that make them famous in the parking garage world? If you were the city manager of Singapore, let's say, or any crowded city in the world where there's not enough parking and way too many cars, and if you're the city manager of Singapore, and I've invented this parking garage, and if I would send you an email and say, I have invented a parking garage that takes up 80% less space, costs less to build, retrieves cars faster, and I'm going to be in Singapore next week, could I get an hour of your time to tell you more about this? If you were the city manager of Singapore, could I get that hour? Would that grab you? I think so. Ba-boom, ba-boom, ba-boom. 3. There's a magic rhythm to 3. 2 doesn't convince me yet. 4 starting to confuse me. There's a magic to 3. Nobody knows why that is. It just is. It's just human. Anyway, ba-boom, ba-boom, ba-boom. And that's clear, and that's specific value, and that's what every business needs to do. Here's another business that's absolutely specific about their value. Hotwire.com is a travel website. 4-star hotels at 2-star prices. Are they precise and clear and specific here? You want a 5-star hotel at a 3-star price? Are they for you? No, we don't do that. You want a 2-star hotel at a 1-star price? Are they for you? No, we don't do that. See, they know exactly who they are. And the neat thing is, when you know who you are, customers know immediately if you are what they're looking for. And it's much easier running a business with that kind of clarity. And most businesses don't have that kind of clarity, and we need to have that. We need to have that within the entire business, and we need to have it within our department. We need to become famous. Simply put, we need to become famous for our amount of inventory, our selection, our knowledgeable salespeople, our incredible service. We need to become famous. And here's an example of a restaurant chain in America that has become famous. And what they're famous for is the world's largest selection of draft beer. Who does that appeal to in this group? Got to be a few people, I'm thinking. They have over 150 kinds of draft beer. Is that more work than offering 6? Yeah, but 6 doesn't make you famous. 6 makes you a boring commodity. You got to do the work. So they even have gluten-free beer for drunken celiacs. Now that's a niche market. And they have beer and ice cream floats. Now I'm just gagging over it. Who's gagging? Anybody else just gagging over beer and ice cream floats. How many of you were thinking college students throwing up in the parking lot going, never should have had 2 of those? So I don't know how many beer and ice cream floats they sell, but it gets them talked about. It gets them texted about. It gets them tweeted about. It makes them famous. Somebody said, why not? I love that. Why not thing. And by the way, world class is an attitude, not a location. I know some of you are in fairly small communities and you might just say, you can't be world class. I'm not in Paris or London or New York. World class is not a location, it's an attitude. Here's one of my favorite examples. Schulte Industries in Englefield, Saskatchewan, with a population of 250 people, is the world leader in 3 products: high-performance mowers, rock pickers, and snow blowers. Started off in 1912 as a blacksmith shop. They employed 300 and something people in a town of 250 people. Apparently, if you do the math, some people commute. World class is an attitude, not a location. So what's our clear and compelling value? What in your part of Davis Automotive, what is your clear and compelling value? Here's one to circle and to take back to the shop and sit with your team and ask this question. What's our clear and compelling value? What could it be? And why not? Mediocrity is no longer an option. We need to be extraordinary. And by the way, this clarity that I'm talking about, clarity about what we commit to deliver, what we commit to become, how we're going to get there, the bottom line we commit to generate, and how we commit to behave along the way, those 5 clarities, when we establish that, it's the first step to having a life for you as a manager. It's the first step to having a life. Because when we create clarity in our business, when everybody on our team is absolutely clear about our commitments, they don't have to be micromanaged and you don't have to be there every minute, because even when you are physically not there, your clarity is there. And they know exactly what to do because you've created clarity. And so you actually get time to have a life outside of business. Now, you may not want to have a life outside of business. You may actually, and I see this all the time with the clients that I work with. There's a lot of clients that I've worked with over the years that actually don't like their family at all, and so they would rather be at work where they feel safe, comfortable, and in control. So they actually create chaos in the business so that they have to stay there 7 days a week, long hours, in order to solve the chaos which they themselves created as an excuse never to go home to their family that they're not that crazy about in the first place. Now, I'm not going to ask anyone in this room if that's you, but how many of you know other people in your life who you suspect may be doing that? Anybody know anybody who do? Because I grew up in I call it the neat fort syndrome. Neat fort, N-E-A-T, neat fort. How many of you built a neat fort when you were kids? Anybody build a neat fort? Maybe a tree fort, unless you're from Saskatchewan originally. Anyway, how many of you did build a neat fort? Out of a cardboard box or anything? As most kids, we build a neat fort. Well, it's where we go to hide every once in a while and feel safe. And as an adult, you still need a neat fort. Get a tent and a canoe. Get a cabin in the woods. Get a motor home. A train set in the basement. And they're all neat forts. But don't make your job, don't make the business your neat fort. My father used Cooper, Canada. We had 3,000 employees. This was not a hot dog stand, but it was his neat fort. Mother and father didn't like each other. No big secret, especially now. But and my father left the house at 6 in the morning, came home at 10 o'clock at night, 7 days a week. We had dinner together as a family twice a year, Christmas and Easter. Sometimes, if we were lucky, only once. And I'll never forget as a kid hearing my mother say about my father, apparently home is where you go when you're tired of being nice to people. She said, I just want to be treated like a customer. We have customers at home too. So anyway, if you want to actually have a life, clarity is the first step. Now, what about this whole vision for the future thing? Most businesses think this is a vision statement. Companies pay thousands of dollars to consultants to come up with this stuff. We love our customers. We honor the diversity of our staff. God's a nice person. The planet's a great place to hang around. We'll work hard and have fun inside the management. How many of you have ever seen one of these silly vision statements hanging in somebody's lobby? I mean, either they pay 30, 40 grand to a consultant to come up with this piece of crap, or they go on a retreat. Businesses go on a retreat to figure out how to move forward. Look up the word retreat in the dictionary. It means to go backwards. So we go on a retreat to figure out how to move forwards. Never been able to figure that one out. Anyway, this is what most businesses think a vision is. And I spent 7 years of my life studying, noodling through what a business vision ought to be that would inform, focus, challenge, and inspire everybody on the team. Inform, focus, challenge, and inspire everybody on the team about what we commit to become. And I think that's what a vision statement ought to do. So I came up with this whole idea, this concept of a vision statement, 6 points on one piece of paper that is a clear and measurable statement. Clear and measurable. You see that? This is not clear, and there's nothing measurable here. It's just silly. Clear and measurable statement of what we're committed to become to be a profitable and responsible market leader in 3 to 5 years. It's sort of like a map. And here's an interesting thought. In no part of your life would you think of going from where you are now to some place you've never been before without buying or downloading a, forget GSP for, not GSP, GPS. Forget GPS for a minute, it screws up my whole example. You would never think of going from where you are now to some place you've never been before without buying or downloading a map. And yet businesses go from here to there without a map. So my 6-point vision statement is simply a map. Here's the province of New Brunswick. You got a cousin in Miramichi who's a fishing guide, a salmon guide on the famous Miramichi Salmon River, and he invites you to come fishing, and you love fishing, so you fly into Fredericton, and you commit to be in Miramichi at 6 o'clock to have dinner with him, and then tomorrow he's going to take you salmon fishing. So you fly into the Fredericton airport, you rent a car, and you wouldn't think of heading out to Miramichi, someplace you've never been before, without buying or downloading a map. And yet businesses go from where they are today to some place they've never been before without a map. And it doesn't make any sense. Now, just because you have a map and you got a plan called a vision, it doesn't mean that you're not going to pay attention to serendipity. We want to be always open to serendipity, but not to distraction. So many businesses are open to distraction. They get distracted. Sears, for example, has simply lost their way and will go out of business. Eaton's got distracted, lost their way, went out of business. So we want to be open to serendipity. Serendipity, by the way, the definition is neat stuff that happens while you're out there doing something else. I mean, you got to be out doing something and then serendipity happens. You can't sit at home on the couch watching Jerry Springer and serendipity knocks on the door and invites itself in. Not going to happen. So we want to be open to serendipity, but not to distraction. How many of you find that you are often open to distraction? You get distracted. Let me ask it a different way. Research indicates that the more intelligent we are, the more easily we're distracted. Now, let me ask the question again. How many of you are easily open to distraction? Thought so. Okay. And then people say to me, Donald, it's all great to talk about the future and having a plan, a vision for the future, but how can we know the future? Look at this. Psychic fair canceled due to unforeseen circumstances. What is that? So here's what we forget. What we forget is that there's actually 2 kinds of future. Nobody thinks about this. There are actually 2 kinds of future. Number 1, the future that will happen. All the stuff that will happen in the future over which we have no control. Future number 1, the future that will happen. Things like population, demographics, changing tastes and priority, invention and discovery, blah, 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 blah. So there's all that stuff in the future over which we have no control. I call that future number 1, and it's the future that we spend all our time thinking about and worrying about, so that we have no time left over to think about future number 2. The future that we can commit to proactively create. The future that we can choose to proactively create, in spite of all that other stuff, in future number 1. So we just never seem to get around to future number 2. And I have so many clients that say to me, Donald, I know I should have a vision statement, but I'm no good at guessing games. And I say, no, you don't get it. Our vision for the future is not a guessing game, it's a committing game. See, the best way to thrive in an uncertain future is to create the future. We can either be the creator of the future or we can be the victim of the future. So here it is. We're not going to read this whole thing, but this is, I told you that our vision statements using my format, my insights and formula as a 6 points vision statement on 1 page. So this is just to show you there is 1 page, 6 points. It happens to be for a pizza chain. And I do a lot of work in the pizza industry around the world, and the 2 guys came up to me. They have 1 pizza store in an American city, and they said, we want to grow it into a chain, but we need a clear vision for the future. We have nothing written down. We don't have anything clear and specific, and we need your help. And I spent a day with them, and we created a 6-point vision statement that is clear and measurable. We'll read number 1 only. We're committed to being. See, we're not aiming to be, striving to be. We're committed to being a 4-location. They had 1 location at the time we did this exercise. We're committed to being a 4-location chain of upscale 80-seat licensed pizza and pasta restaurants in the greater metropolitan area in 3 years with sales of $6.5 million and a return on investment of 18%. Anything clear, specific, and measurable there? Absolutely. And it goes down 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, all clear and specific. What we're going to do for our sales and bottom line, what we're going to do for the customer, what we're going to do for food safety, because the health inspector can shut you down, so you better get the highest possible rating for cleanliness and food handling, and the kind of employer we're going to be, and how we're going to operate with world-class operational efficiency, and how we're going to give back to the community and be good citizens. It's 6 points, and it's all there. And I have a 31-page vision critical guide that I'm going to be giving to the Davis guys, Mike and Tim and Sean. I'm giving them copies of that, and if they think it's a great process to embrace across the company, then you'll hear more about that. By the way, the bar is not open. This is herb tea, and it tastes terrible. I've had 0 days off since the 3rd week of August. Speak fly every day, and my voice is catching up with me a bit, but we're going to make it through. Okay, failure to execute and a sense of urgency. You can have all the clear vision you want, but you just still got to get it done. And not getting it done is where so many businesses fall down. In fact, I made up this little quote here. This is a Coopyism. Businesses don't die from a single shot to the head. They die slowly but surely from 1,000 uncompleted tasks. Anybody ever seen that happen? It's 1,000, it's just not getting it done. And one of my favorite examples, down at the bottom, soft ice cream machine. Last year, I did a coaching project for 2 days for 2 brothers who own a marina on a big lake in Ontario. And these guys are in their mid to late 60s. They've been in this all their life. They don't give a damn anymore. See, the human journey is sort of like we all start off passionate, and then we get a bit complacent, and then we get resentful, and then we get bitter, and then we die. You see, for a lot of people, that's the life journey. Passionate, complacent, resentful, bitter, and death. Okay, so I'm not a motivational speaker. And my question is, what would be wrong with passionate, and death? I mean, it's always going to end the same way. It's just the journey is so different. And it's a question of which journey do you choose. Anyway, these guys were somewhere between bitter and death, and they just didn't give a damn anymore. They retired, and this business, they sold, their specialty is selling 45 to 90-foot motor yachts. Big boats. 45 to 90-foot motor yachts. And they have 40 employees. They each have a son in the business, high school dropouts, who still live at home in their mid-30s, and to quote their fathers, most days we have to kick their bedroom door down to drag their ass out of bed to get them to show up at the shop. So real go-getters. And they lost $600,000 last year, and the 2 brothers said to me, we don't sleep at night. We have a $9 million bank loan to finance our boat inventory. We lost $600,000. The bank's getting nervous, and we don't sleep at night, and frankly, I guess we don't really care so much anymore. And I said, well, what are you going to do? Well, we'd like to hand the keys over to the kids. I said, do not do this. Do not do this. And I said, so tell me more about the business. So they sell 45 to 90 foot motor yachts. They have 370 boat slips. So they sell you a boat and rent you a slip to park it on, get the slip rental, and they have a gas dock. And on the gas dock, now to fill a 45 to 90 foot cruiser is $4,000 to $9,000 worth of gasoline, fuel. That's a big sale. So back a few years ago, when they still cared about the business and they still had some good ideas, they had the idea, why not, to put a soft ice cream machine on the gas dock. Now, you pull up with your boat to get a couple of ice cream cones for your kids for free, and I sell you $9,000 worth of gas. Who is up for that deal any day? I mean, that's just a good deal, right? That was brilliant marketing. Except the soft ice cream machine has been broken for 2 summers, and nobody called the repair company for 2 years. Not the 2 brothers, they don't care anymore. Not their 2 sons, they never cared. None of the 40 employees, because they didn't think it was their job. Nobody made the call, and their gas sales are down 28%. 28% down because nobody made one phone call. One phone call. Businesses do not die from a single shot to the head. They die slowly but surely from 1,000 uncompleted tasks. Okay, next thought. Our profit is something we plan for, not something we hope for. You know, in a lot of businesses, the approach to profitability is we'll do our best and hope for the best. And I say, no, our profit is something we plan for, not something we hope for. And we're going to increase profitability by doing some specific things. First of all, increasing sales. So here's an exercise that I'd like you to take back to your part of the Davis Automotive Group. Sit down with your team. You know, our people know stuff, and they hate it when we don't ask. It dishonors them, and they stop caring when nobody asks for their thoughts and their ideas. So you sit down with your department, with your people, and you say, okay, let's commit to a sales increase on parts and service, vehicles, whatever your department. And then you go, 5 specific things we will do to increase sales by what percent? Commit to a percent, a specific number, specific and measurable. And then here are specific things we will do to make that happen. And it might not be 5, it might be 7 or 8, it might be 4, I don't know. But whatever it is, what are those specific things you're going to do to increase sales by a specific percent in 12 months? 5 specific things we'll do to get more efficient, to reduce expenses by what percent? How are we going to improve our operational efficiency in the next 12 months? What are things we can do? Once again, you sit down with your team and you ask them. They know stuff. They have ideas. And they hate it when you don't ask. And here's what I mean when I talk about getting specific about profit commitments. Here are 3 examples. We will increase sales by $800,000 in the next 10 months while not increasing sales and marketing expenses by more than 4%. See, that's important to add in, because if you just say, we'll increase sales by $800,000, and then you go and spend $100,000 on marketing and advertising and dropping your prices and all that stuff, then you've actually lost money on the $800,000 of sales. So what we need to do is we need to look at the front end, which is increase sales by this, and look at the back end without increasing sales and marketing expense by more than 4%, because otherwise it's not worth our while. And that's clear and specific, and very few businesses get that clear and that specific. Number 2, we'll reduce operating expenses by $50,000 in the next 6 months without diminishing our customer service or employment experience. Example number 3, we'll improve delivery on rush orders by 4 hours within 3 months without increasing our shipping expense by more than $12,000 a year. And that's what it looks like to get specific. Our profit is something we plan for, not something we hope for. How many of you do what we call them Idea Fests? How many of you sit down with your team quarterly, let's say, 4 times a year and ask them for their ideas. Anybody do idea fests? Every employee knows in your department that they have to come to the meeting with one idea to serve customers better and one idea to operate more efficiently. And you put $50 or $100 or whatever in the center of the table, and everybody states their ideas, and then the team themselves vote on who gets the 50 or the $100. And by the way, the next time you have that meeting, a few months later, before you ask them for their new ideas, you report on them what's happening with the ideas that they suggested at the last meeting. Here's the ideas that we've actually implemented from the last meeting. Ba-boom, ba-boom, ba-boom. You may have noticed them, and they're working really well. Here's some of the other ideas from the last meeting, and we're working on implementing those. These ones over here from the last meeting, we don't have the resources yet to implement that, but we haven't forgotten them. Because they aren't going to give you more new ideas until you tell them what you've done with the ideas that they have already given you. It's just human nature. Why should I bother? You're not doing anything with them anyway. So, create a quarterly idea fest in your business. Here's another one of your three bonus pieces that we've handed out to you. 12 questions to ask to make next year your best year ever. This is a tool that we use with all of our coaching clients, and it's there for you. 12 questions to sit down with your team and ask, that will get a conversation going about how we are going to raise the bar, how we're going to be even better. In fact, so good that we make it our best year ever. Okay, next section, our commitment to deliver extraordinary customer experiences and extraordinary customer value. Here's the biggest myth in business today around the entire world. The biggest myth in business today is that there's no such thing as customer loyalty anymore. Every business in the world whines about the fact that there's no such thing as customer loyalty anymore. But the simple truth is that people are loyal to what's best for them or what they assume is best for them. And with everything being so complicated nowadays, often they assume that someone else is best for them because we haven't communicated our value effectively enough. So while every business in the world is bitching about the fact that there's no such thing as customer loyalty anymore, every human being on the planet is desperately searching for businesses to be loyal to. Because to change suppliers of anything from vehicles to haircuts to heavy equipment is disruptive and stressful in our lives, and we'd rather find one good one and stick with them. And yet every business whines that there's no such thing as customer loyalty anymore. And they are so wrong. We are all desperately searching for businesses to be loyal to. But we're looking for businesses that are best for us or that we assume is best for us. So what we need to do, we need to become the wise choice, a little phrase that I use around the world. We need to do the work to become the wise choice for our target customers. Because every business has one fundamental decision to make. And that is whether we're going to put our time and money and energy into doing the work to be the wise choice for our target customers, or whether we're going to put our time and our money and our energy into tricky and deceptive, manipulative marketing to convince people that we're the wise choice even if we're not. It's a fundamental decision. And what we need to do is to be the wise choice. What do we need to do next year to be in every part of the Davis Automotive Group the wise choice for our target customers? And one of the ways that we get focused on that is a simple redefinition of our business. We need to define ourselves by how we help, not by what we sell. People are tired of being sold and they want to be helped. They're confused, they're stressed, they're running out of time. Most businesses make the mistake of defining themselves by what they've always sold and by how and where they've always done business. It's all about them and it's all about yesterday. And a great example is ice boxes. For the young people in the room, ask the old person next to you what an ice box is. It's what we had before refrigerators. And the people who made ice boxes in the early 1900s made a lot of money. Everybody needed an ice box. But they made a huge mistake. They defined themselves as being in the icebox business instead of defining themselves by how they help. And here's how simple it is to define ourselves by how we help. Help me finish this sentence. We are in the business of helping people make food last longer. People won't always need ice boxes, but they'll always need food to last longer. And that's the power of defining ourselves by how we help. And one of the insights that goes with this is that people have 4 currencies in their lives. A currency is anything of value to people that they don't have enough of. And the 4 things we don't have enough of are money, time, feeling safe, physically and emotionally safe, and feeling special. And if we're competing only on price, well, we're not saving people time and helping people feel safe and special. We're missing out big time. Money, time, feeling safe, and feeling special. I gotta tell you, you come into a dealership and it's 20 minutes before anyone comes up and asks you if they can help you. You don't feel very special. In fact, you probably have left already. And I do a lot of work in the car industry for many different brands across North America, and just to test it out, I go into their dealerships and I pretend I'm trying to buy a car, and I stood there wandering around, touching cars, looking at cars, admiring cars for 20, 25, 30 minutes while a couple of salespeople over there talk about last night's hockey game. It's the Leafs, they lost again. For God's sake, I mean, it's an old story. And yet, there I am, trying to be a customer. Money, time, feeling safe, and feeling special. And why do people buy stuff anyway? You could fill this room with all the books written on this subject, but the truth is very simple. People buy stuff to make some stress in their life go away. Physical or emotional stress. I give you money, and you make my stress go away. That's the deal. How many of you have ever bought a grocery item to make physical stress go away? What is that physical stress? Hunger. Anybody here ever buy a grocery item to make emotional stress go away? Ice cream, chocolate, creme caramel, firm but yielding. Our only value to any other human being on this planet is in our ability to make some of their stress go away. I give you money and you make my stress go away. I give you money and you give me stress. How many of you have had a customer service experience recently when the people you were giving your hard-earned money to actually gave you more stress than you had before you gave them your money? You gave them money and they gave you stress. Now, is that a hot ticket? I don't think so. So now, once we understand the thing about stress, we understand what service is. Service is anything that makes some of our customers' stress go away. Anything that gives them stress is unservice, and we need to make sure that we're not in the unservice business. Service is an attitude, not a department. A lot of businesses have a customer service department. Why don't they call it what it is? The apology department. We take ownership of customers by taking ownership of their stress. And by the way, great service to our customers, external customers, begins with great service to our staff, our internal customers. You cannot poop down on your staff and have poop turn to gold when they serve customers. Poop is affected by the laws of gravity. You poop down on your team, they poop down on customers. Pretty much how it goes. And don't talk about service anymore. No more conversation about service. It's a vague and general, meaningless word. Talk about specific, measurable acts of service. Everyone, the potential customer that walks into our showroom, will be greeted, acknowledged, and welcomed within 1 minute or whatever. That's specific and measurable. We need to get in parts and in service and whatever. We need to get specific and measurable instead of just using the sloppy, vague, general word service. Be the caring coach. That's what customers are looking for in sales, in service, in parts. We're all looking for the caring coach. It's a great concept. And here's an example from Home Depot. Whether you like them or not, they get certain things right. Home Depot decided to get big time serious into the carpet business a few years ago and be a major factor in carpet, and they realized that people knew very little about carpet and less about underpad. So they created this 8.5 by 11 sheet, printed 2 colors, cost them less than 2 cents each, taking the mystery out of buying carpet. A helpful guide to an intelligent purchase. That's beautiful writing. That's beautiful marketing. Taking the mystery out of buying carpet, a helpful guide to an intelligent purchase. Is that what everybody wants to make, an intelligent purchase? I think so. So, what are our customers confused about? What are the mysteries to them? Taking the mystery out of buying a vehicle. Taking the mystery out of undercoating. Taking the mystery out of this upgrade or that upgrade. How many customers are confused and suspicious about upgrades? Tons of them. Take the mystery out of and play it straight and be the caring coach. And how do you take the mystery out? It's a really compelling concept. Be the caring coach. In order to coach them, you need to understand them better. So here's, when we're doing coaching for clients, here's 4 questions that we lead them through to try to get them into the minds and hearts and souls of their customers. Just checking the time here. Okay, perfect. When our target customers are buying or using the vehicles and services we sell, what are they really trying to do? What are they really trying to do? Functionally, emotionally, financially, what are they trying to do? What do they want or need to know? How do they want to feel? And about how much do they expect to pay? And when we really get inside our customers' minds and hearts, and I told you that after I fired myself from Cooper, Canada, I accidentally became a retailer of ladies' fashions. And I had no experience in this thing. I sat down and thought and felt what it was like to be a woman buying clothing. What's the sign on the change rooms in every ladies' clothing store? Limit 3 items in the change room, you crook. They never finish the sign, do they? But we do. We don't like you, we don't trust you, we don't understand you. Well, we want you to spend money here. That's goofy. Our sign said, please take as many items in the change room as you wish. And no store in the world did that. No store in the world had the insight and the gumption to do that. And I said, why not? Women took 27 items in the change room and usually bought 23 of them. Big idea. If you can only take 3 in, what's the most you can buy? 3. And then I was the first retailer in the world of clothing to count to 4. I put 4 hooks in every change room. I figured out what happens in a change room. I didn't peek, I just thought it through. Here's what I figured out. You need... I promise. So 1 hook for your clothes, 1 for the clothes you want to try on, 1 for the clothes you've decided to buy, and 1 for the clothes you've decided not to buy that have to go back and be hung up 1, 2, 3, 4, and nobody in the world had counted to 4. I was the first retailer of ladies' clothing to put 4 hooks in the change room. They are $6 each category. And then our customer washrooms, I had change tables with 3 sizes of free diapers, diaper wipes, and cream for young mothers in distress. Now, did every person that walked into the washroom need those diapers? Absolutely not. But everyone was blown away by the fact that they were there. They were a simple act of kindness and trust and understanding. And whether you needed them or not, you were blown away by the fact that they were there. I had electric reclining massage chairs all around the store for people who would rather relax than shop in a ladies' clothing store. Who would that be? Husbands, boyfriends, and nursing mothers. This is what I didn't expect, but it happened. Nursing a baby in an electric massage chair is self-burping. No store in the world offered this. And it blew people away. I built a pirate ship play area to get the kid off the leg, because a lady cannot try on a pair of pants in a change room with a child stuck to her leg screaming to go home. You got to get the kid off the leg. And our competitor said, it's her kid and it's her leg, it's her problem. I said, no, I will take ownership of the problem. I will get the little nipper off the leg. $54,000 to build a pirate ship play area in the center of the store. And I walked by the ship one day, and I heard a 5-year-old say to his mother, Mommy, can we live here? And I know your business is different, but the question is the same. Do your customers want to live with you? Do they want to keep coming back? Why not? Why not? So I simply sat down and thought and felt what it was really like. What are women really trying to do? They're trying to get the kid off the leg. They're trying to have more than one hook for all the stuff they want to try on. And what do they need or want to know, and how do they want to feel, and how much do they want to pay? And we just went down through those questions, and we got inside the minds and hearts and souls of our customers, and then we committed to doing the right thing. You see, we wanted to create fans, not just customers. Customers give us business. Fans help us grow our business, right? Because fans tell everybody they know about us. Microsoft has customers. Apple has fans, right? Apple has fans. Microsoft has customers. Every time Apple opens a new store or launches a new product, people line up for hours. The only time people lined up for Microsoft was to return Vista. And do you know how you absolutely know when you have a fan? Do you know how you know for sure? They use the word love. They actually use the word love. I love you guys. How often are you hearing love in your dealership? People come to us for vehicles and service plus joy. Whatever we sell, people come to us for that plus joy. Joy and gratitude. Groceries plus joy. New truck plus joy. Life insurance plus joy. Travel on Air Canada plus joy. Okay, you're pushing it a bit. Joy and gratitude is so powerful. You know, surveys indicate that fewer than 15% of businesses ever actually thank their customers. Fewer than 15% of businesses actually only thank their customers. What a huge opportunity for gratitude. It's a big purchase. Where's the gratitude? It's about making emotional connections with people. Here's the Marriott Desert Ridge Resort in Scottsdale, Arizona, $400 million. $400 million to build it, furnish it, staff it. It's magnificent. But what people take pictures of is the bunnies. People are outside in the garden and they're down on their hands and knees. These are not Marriott bunnies. These are wild desert bunnies. There's no grass, green grass in the desert. Every morning they hop in to the garden area, the grass around the pool, and they eat the grass, and people get down on their hands and knees trying to take pictures of the bunnies. $400 million. I'm the only one ever took pictures of this. Everyone's taking pictures of the bunnies. What are the bunnies in your business? What's the emotional connection from human being to human being? It's so incredibly powerful. So here's my 3 steps for delivering compelling value. Step number 1, define yourself by how you help, not by what you sell. Number 2, make a list of all the help they need in any way related to buying, servicing, safe driving, getting the best value from their vehicle. Make a list. It is endless. It is a long list. So many business people say to me, my customers need so much help, they're driving me crazy. How about, praise God, they need help. If they don't need help, they don't need us. They'll just buy it on the internet. And then step number 3, how do we have the creativity, the courage to deliver some of that help so wonderfully that they feel compelled to do business with us and to tell everyone they know. 3 steps. It's simple. It's not easy, but it's simple. And here's a little template that we use when we're coaching clients that you might want to sit with your team and fill in the blanks. We're in the business of helping whom, including where, to do what, by doing what specific things for them, specific things, better than our competitors. It's a really neat little thing. And by the way, you can only do this if you win the talent wars. I got so many businesses say to me, I'm down 3 bodies. I say alive or dead, they come 2 ways. Are we looking for bodies or are we looking for talent? Because you tend to find what you're looking for. You look for bodies, you'll find bodies. You look for talent, you'll find talent. Are you a talent magnet? Do your employment experiences and career opportunities make you the talent magnet in the industry? Or do you drive good people away? Do you know who your stars and dogs are? Do you actually measure performance? I did a tour across Canada for the Ford Motor Company, and we did 1-day programs all the way across the country. And at one of these, there was a small town Ford dealer who had 2 customer service advisors, and they had CSI scores of 94 and 38, the 2 of them, 94 and 38. 38 was the lowest score in the history of the Ford Motor Company. And I was sitting beside the dealer when he was told that, and he said, I had no idea. I said, you have 2 service advisors and you don't know that one of them is pissing people off every day? How could you not know in a small dealership like that? I said, how does she treat you? Oh, she says she pisses me off every day. I thought it was just me. I said, you signed her paycheck and she's not afraid to piss you off. How do you think she's treating customers? I mean, like, he didn't even know who his dogs were. I told that story to an audience in Toronto because this dealership happened to be up in Bracebridge, Ontario. And someone at the back corner just broke out laughing. I said, what's so funny? And the lady said, I know exactly which service advisor you're talking about because she's now at the Chrysler dealer where she's pissing everybody off. So much for checking references. Anyway, here's another one of my free bonus articles, 11 reasons for staff non-performance. You've got it there. Take it away. Read it, please. It's a really brilliant, simple look at why our staff are not performing, and I think you'll find it very helpful. How do we create engagement, pride, commitment? We talked about that, or Tim talked about that earlier this morning, about engagement. And here's, I think, how we do it. We teach our history. Does every new employee learn the history? Do you have the history written down? The history of the Davis Auto Group. Does that written down? Does every new employee get that? Because if they don't, why not? Teach your history. Share your vision. Live by values that good people can be proud of. See, people can only be proud of three things: where we've been, where we're going, and what we stand for along the way. Three things that people can be proud of. Create a career path for your best people. Start them at the beginning, not at the bottom. Start them at the beginning. People hate starting at the bottom. It sounds like a pit from which I'll never emerge. People would like to start at the beginning. It sounds like a journey. And celebrate and reward success and deal with non-performance. And by the way, we need process. Process ain't sexy, but I don't want to fly on an airline that doesn't have it. It's process that stops that plane from falling out of the sky. So, in my interviews with a lot of people a couple of weeks ago, before I came here and I was preparing for my presentation for you folks, and I did a lot of interviews with some Davis employees, and I heard a lot about the fact we need better process. We need more process to make sure that we do things right. So I threw in this one slide. A process is an effectively communicated sequence of activities supported by the necessary resources designed to deliver a consistent, efficient, and effective result to a specific standard. And we talk about process, but we don't define it. And if you don't define it, you don't necessarily nail it. So there's my definition of process. And here's the thing, for everything that we want to always happen or never happen, you need a process. Anything you want to always happen or anything you want to never happen, you gotta have a process. And if you don't, sometimes it'll happen and sometimes it won't. Okay, the very last page of your big handout should be a sign up for my free monthly management e-newsletter. Every month I publish a free management newsletter. It takes you 8 minutes to read it. It takes me 3 days to write it. I'm a slow writer. But anyway, if you would like to receive my tips they're like booster shots, booster shots on how to sell more, manage smarter, grow your bottom line, and have a life. If you would like, it's short, punchy articles, semi-entertaining, a little edgy, a little controversial, thought-provoking. If you would like to receive that, please fill out the form. Print clearly. If we can't read your writing, you ain't going to get it. And then down below, there's a little evaluation. Was this a great way to start off the morning? Was this helpful, entertaining, uplifting, whatever? And then we also have for you a special website we've created for you. This is what you type into an address search bar, donaldcooper.com/Davis Management 2014 MGT Management. And you will, by going to that website, you will access a complete set of free business tools that we have created. You'll get an extra copy of this handout if you'd like a clean copy for any purpose with your staff. A link to the Vision Critical Guide, which is not free, it's 24 bucks. 7 years of my life for 24 bucks. Hey, I could make more in automotive. Anyway, that's a free value-added website, takeaway value that we have created just for you. Last slide. There is no finish line. Who knows which company, famous company, had this as their slogan before they dropped it for another slogan? Anybody care to guess? There is no finish line. Nike is right. There's no prize, just glory. Here for that. Anyway, this is their original slogan, and I love it. There is no finish line. This is a journey. We are here today celebrating 25 years of Davis Automotive. This has been a journey. This will continue to be a journey, and I wish you Godspeed on that incredible journey. Thank you very much. Thank you. Now, so what you do is if you wish, you fill out the feedback form, you rip it off, and if we could have someone at the back door collect those from folks as they leave, and then give them to me, that will be great. And I'm here the whole day. I'm doing the closing keynote at the end, which is going to be kind of a fun thing that we're going to do called participation poker, to get ideas flowing and do a little sports trivia as well. It'll be fun. Way to end the day. So I'll be here all day. If you have a question you want to ask about any of this, we went through it pretty quickly. I normally do this in 90 minutes. They said you got an hour. And so the other way you can ask a question, if you don't get to ask me a question today about any of this, is you can contact me anytime as long as I'm still alive on the planet, no time limit. Donald@donaldcooper.com. I'm easy to find. And a reasonable amount of free telephone coaching for the rest of your life or my life, whichever comes first. And with the age of some people in this company, it's a photo finish, I'm sure. Anywho, thank you very, very much for being here, and I look forward to seeing you throughout the day. Thank you.